The mother of all storms has kicked off between the Reform Party and Robert Jenrick after Jenrick decided to turn up to one of the protests outside the Bell Hotel in Epping. Why? Because the Reform Party have unearthed this clip from 2022.
We have procured more hotels very rapidly, and more are coming on board literally every day. More hotels have been coming online almost every month throughout the whole of this year. So Suella Braverman and her predecessor, Priti Patel, were procuring more hotels. What I have done in my short tenure is ramp that up and procure even more.
Sounds almost like that Robert Jenrick is boasting about opening more hotels back in that clip from 2022. Let's take a look at what Nigel Farage had to say. He put a whole video together to have a go at Robert Jenrick.
You might have seen pictures of Robert Jenrick turning up outside the Bell Hotel, the Migrant Hotel in Epping, in Essex. And what he's saying is, I'm on your side. I'm with you, the people. What's going on is a disgrace. Well, when he was Immigration Minister, just a couple of years back, it was very, very different. Here he is boasting that he's going to open more migrant hotels than all the ministers that went before him.
We have procured more hotels very rapidly, and more are coming on board literally every day. More hotels have been coming online almost every month throughout the whole of this year. So Suella Braverman and her predecessor, Priti Patel, were procuring more hotels. What I have done in my short tenure is ramp that up and procure even more.
Yes, that was Robert Jenrick, and under him, as Immigration Minister, we got up to 56,000 people who'd crossed the Channel by boat living in hotels. He put more people in hotels than even this Labour government. And here we are, 3 years later, and he turns up and says, I'm on your side. My advice to you would be to say, this man is a fraud, this man is not to be trusted, and certainly his party aren't either.
So that's what Nigel had to say. We're going to take a look in just a second at Robert Jenrick's response to this on GB News. It's fair to say he's absolutely furious about the way the Reform Party have painted him and supposedly clipped him out of context with that clip from 2022. Let's look at that in a second. But first of all, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. It's free and really helps us. And it means that you'll see more of our videos, which you wouldn't possibly want to miss. Right, let's take a look at what Robert Jenrick said on GB News.
Let me be very clear about what that is. Zia Yusuf from Reform put that out. He didn't give any of the context around that. And earlier today, if you look on my Twitter account, you'll see that I've completely taken apart the nonsensical argument that he made. I became Immigration Minister at a time when the camp in Manston was out of control, complete chaos. In fact, there'd been an attack on the camp, the reception centre that we had in Dover. And so we had to do something in that moment to get some of the migrants out. And we didn't want to just let them loose on the streets of Kent. But by the time I left office, a year later, when I resigned from government because Rishi Sunak wasn't doing enough, I had set in train the closure of 100 of those hotels. More than anyone had done previously, more than anyone's done subsequently. Why? Because I actually got the number of people coming on small boats down by more than a third. They'd risen massively in the years before then, and they've risen massively since then. And the hotel in Epping, I closed it. And Labour reopened it a year later. And it used to have families in it, not great, but nonetheless, families. When Labour reopened it, they put single males in, which created so much concern in that community. But look,
this is true that the Bell Hotel in Epping, it was open to migrants for some time and it was then closed down and migrants were no longer allowed to stay there. And then it was reopened to migrants again.
Was that enough? No, of course it wasn't. I don't want to see a single hotel in any community in our country. That's ultimately why I chose to resign from the government, because I thought this was a disgraceful policy and I was so sick to death of seeing this and the harm that it's causing to communities. The answer that I fought for, tooth and nail, when I was in government, was to change our laws, leave the human rights conventions that are hamstringing us, and then detain and deport every single one who comes into this country. That is the answer to this. We could do that tomorrow. Keir Starmer is making this worse. He's not taking the advice that I've given him, but that's what I would do.
There you go. That was Robert Jenrick talking to Patrick Christys on GB News. Do you buy what he said there? Are you convinced? Well, if you weren't convinced, I've got one of his tweets to show you. I can't show you all of the tweets in this spat because there are so many back and forth. Him and Zia Yusuf on Twitter today and yesterday is just crazy. We've had Nigel involved. We've had Layla Cunningham, that councillor, involved, putting up a big rant about Robert Jenrick. But let's just show you a little flavour. So first of all, that interview we've just looked at, Zia Yusuf shared that and said, I can't recall seeing someone this rattled by their own words. So Zia wasn't impressed by that. Let's take a look at Robert Jenrick's tweet. This is only half of Robert Jenrick's tweet, by the way, responding to Zia Yusuf. It's so long that you guys will fall asleep if I read you the whole thing. But let's just look at the first half. He says, I see Reform's former chairman Zia Yusuf has unfortunately pushed another 2 lies about me, one of which he's already had to delete. The first is a video from 1st November 2022. The interview that Zia selectively clipped was about the Manston Holding Centre where illegal migrants are processed when they first arrive. I was 8 days into the job of Migration Minister. Manston's capacity was 1,600, but it then had 4,000 people there. There had just been a firebombing on the processing centre which had thrown the system into chaos. Order was collapsing. I was reassuring people this wasn't going to happen, that the state had somewhere, regrettably hotels, for these migrants to go temporarily. The idea I was bragging about opening hotels or that I thought they were a good thing is clearly absurd, a complete lie. On the 27th of October 2022, 2 days into the job, I said in Parliament it is disgraceful that this country is spending hundreds of millions of pounds on accommodating people in hotels. On 7th of November 2022, I said it is essential that we exit the hotels altogether. The whole Manston episode sickened me. The second lie, now deleted, was doctored footage. Zia said it showed me proudly announcing more migrant hotels. It doesn't. In the full clip, I'm clearly talking about putting illegal migrants on disused military sites, a policy Nigel Farage backed a few weeks ago. So that is Jenrick's defence. Zia Yusuf has responded to that clip and he has said this. He says, your game is up, Robert. Is this you saying Britain was built by great immigrants, or is it also doctored? Let's take a look at that.
We're all, or many of us, are certainly immigrants to some extent. My name's an unusual one, but I think my ancestors was quite an earlier boat than other people's. You know, this country has been built by great immigrants.
This country has been built by great immigrants, Robert Jenrick said there. Do you agree with him? Do you agree it was in the past built by great immigrants, but now we've just simply got an unsustainable number coming in? Or should Robert Jenrick be ashamed of that video? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Whose side are you on here? Are you on Reform's side, or are you on Robert Jenrick's side? I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you hit subscribe down below if you haven't already.